On the 33rd morning drifting across the Pacific, Louis Zamperini woke with lips cracked from salt and sun. He tried to lift his head. Just that small movement felt like lifting a stone slab. Around him the ocean stretched endlessly. No ships, no land, no sign of life. Only the breath of the waves, rising and falling like a tired lullaby. Louis didn't know whether he was alive or dying. But one thing he knew, he wasn't ready to surrender. He hadn't been born a survivor. As a boy in California, he was the child everyone had given up on. Angry, wild, always running from something. Teachers, neighbors, the trouble he created. His mother cried at night, wondering what kind of future a boy like that could possibly have. But one afternoon, as Louis outran a group of older boys chasing him, his father saw something different. When Louis finally burst through the door, gasping for breath, his father didn't scold him. He simply said, "If you're going to run, son, run towards something, not away." It was the first time anyone had seen potential instead of failure. Louis began running not to escape, but to improve. He trained until his legs shook, until he could hardly breathe, until the wildness inside him turned into focus. He became the fastest kid in the city, then the region, then one of the fastest in the country. And in 1936, he ran in the Berlin Olympics, the youngest American on the team. His final lap was so fast that the crowd stood on their feet. Reporters called him the boy with the flying feet. Louis left Berlin dreaming of breaking the 4-minute mile, but the world had other plans. When war came, Louis joined the Air Force and became a bombardier. Mission after mission, he climbed into planes that barely came back in one piece. Each landing felt borrowed, like he had convinced death to wait another day. And then came the mission that didn't return, a mechanical failure, a violent crash. 11 men went into the ocean. Only 3 surfaced. A small yellow raft became their entire world. Days passed. The sun burned their skin raw. Sharks circled them endlessly, bumping the raft with cold intention. Storms tossed them like leaves. Hunger hollowed their bodies. On day 27, one of the men died. Louis whispered a prayer and let the body slide into the deep, watching it disappear beneath the waves. He and the pilot drifted for 47 days, one of the longest recorded survivals at sea. Land finally appeared, but salvation did not. They were captured by Japanese forces and thrown into a prisoner of war camp. And that was where Louis met the man who would become his greatest torment. Mutsuhiro Watanabe, the bird. Intelligent, proud, and merciless, the bird despised Louis for his Olympic past, for his defiance, for his spirit. He beat him with belts and bamboo, forced him to labor with broken ribs, starved him, humiliated him, tried to erase him. Yet every morning, Louis made the same silent promise. "You will not break me." He survived years of degradation, disease, and torment. And when the war ended at last, he walked out of the camp thin as a shadow, but standing. The world called him a hero, but inside he was still a prisoner. He woke from nightmares screaming. He drank to escape the memories. He saw the bird's face everywhere he turned. His rage nearly destroyed him, and the man who had survived the ocean and the prison camp now felt he might not survive his own mind. Then one night, desperate and shaken, he attended a revival meeting. As the preacher spoke about forgiveness, not as permission, but as liberation, Louis felt a door open inside him. He remembered a prayer he had whispered on the raft, promising that if he survived, he would give his life to something greater than his pain. And in that moment, he let go, not of the past, but of the hatred chained to it. He returned to Japan, looked the men who had hurt him in the eye, and said 3 words that changed his life. "I forgive you." The final chain fell. Louis lived to be 97. He ran again, climbed mountains, smiled easily, spoke with kindness. When people asked him how he had survived so much, he always answered the same way. A man can be beaten, but he can't be broken unless he lets himself be. And in the last years of his life, he repeated a truth he had earned through suffering, survival, and grace. Strength isn't never falling. Strength is getting up every time life knocks you down.